Hello, welcome to Reckoning is a solitaire card game entered in the 54 card contest on Board Game Geek. The theme of this game is Weird West, like Jonah Hex or Stephen King's Dark Tower. The mechanics are similar to the Lost Expedition card game, but it's mixed with a bit of poker hand management to give it that sort of Western sort of feel. You play a posse trapped in a Wild West town trying to escape from supernatural forces that want to see you dead. Here you can see like a couple of tentacles. Tentacles are a big part of this game. Reckoning was a small mining community, this town, and it came across a substance called dust. This mystical powder can warp time in a variety of ways, but it also corrupts those careless enough to use it. One member of your posse, who will remain a mystery, is actually a traitor, driven mad by the dust, and in his capricious nature, he's trying to subtly corrupt the entire posse. You win by finding this wagon, having a 4 of a kind in your hand, and making sure that the warehouse over here is not on fire or locked down by tentacles. You lose by running out of health, of course. It's a common way to lose, or letting your sanity drop to the same value or under your corruption level. You don't want your corruption to actually go over your sanity level, otherwise you lose. Now, on to the setup. Right here, I sort of have a little setup going on. This right here, I'm using the version 1220 low ink cards. There are a couple mistakes I'll have to correct, but I'm sure that by the time you get it, they will be corrected because I will get onto those right away. This right over here, this is the posse card. And this posse card, there's the health and the sanity trackers on either side. These things move up and down as you gain or lose health. You start at full health. This is a dust pile. We put it right outside, over here outside the mine and homestead. That's just the easiest place for me to remember where it is. As your posse collects dust, the dust is placed here in a place above your posse. As this dust is consumed, you move it down to the corruption pile underneath your posse. Remember, you don't want the amount of dust in your corruption pile to ever exceed your sanity at any time. So as this is going down and this is going up, well, it gets you closer to losing the game. The town itself consists of 4 location cards, each of them with 2 buildings. Here we have the mine and the homestead, the assayer and the blacksmith, the saloon and the warehouse, the church and the bell tower. Fires affect both buildings on cards, preventing you to visit them, and they also do health during one of the phases. So when a location catches on fire, it's flipped over. There's a little fire icon there, and you can see that it doesn't show anything that you can do in either the church or the bell tower. You're going to have to put that fire out through a variety of ways. The most common way is by using the cards in your hand as you acquire cards. Tentacles, they also attack specific locations. So if I have, here's a tentacle right here. So this pulsing tentacle, it says that places card on the W building. W, that's the warehouse. Warehouse begins with W. So we place that there, and that also blocks the use of that building until the tentacle is removed. Same sort of thing, tentacles are removed in a few different ways, but mainly by using cards in your hand. You'll have a chance to put out fires and remove tentacles, usually during the morning phase, but there are some events in here that can remove them as well. These 36 cards, you shuffle them all together, and you shuffle this wagon card in there as well. So I'm just going to put the wagon card in there, but normally I'd shuffle it together. That wagon card is very important because you need the wagon card as one of the conditions to win the game. Your travel card will always progress from left to right on this through these events. Now, they'll start out with 6 events, and you have to follow each action on each line. Most of these event cards have 3 actions, so you have to do the first one, then the second one, then the third one, and then you move on. You can use expertise from your travel once per night. So once during any of these 6 cards that are laid out here, you can use expertise to skip any one action on a card. You do that by flipping this card over. It shows that the travel card is exhausted, so you can't do it anymore, but you can do that once per night. Once the night's over, you flip it back over, and you have it for the next night. You can also use dust, this stuff here. If you have dust, you can use it to skip over a card completely. So you don't have to worry about the effects at all. You just skip over it, and you discard that card. It goes in the discard pile. You can consume as much dust as you want to skip over as many cards as you want, but remember, as you consume dust, it gets you closer to losing. So don't consume too much, or else you'll lose the game. Now, a turn consists of a 24-hour series of phases. During the first 2 phases, sleep and dream, your posse, who's enhanced or enchanted by mystical substance, that's dust, since they're enchanted by the dust, they have premonitions of the future, premonitions that haven't happened yet. So what they do is you take 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, you flip them face up, you take 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, you leave them face down, and then with your premonitions, you decide how you want these 6 cards lined up. So if there's something that's really, really bad, these all happen to be tentacles. I don't care for tentacles, so I'm going to put these 2 over here. This one I'll put here because I don't have any cards in my hand to start with, so I'm not going to be able to lose any cards. So I'll go ahead and I'll set it up just like that. Then after that, I can prepare for this. If I had cards in my hand, which I'll get later on, I can use those cards to get ready for the night by removing cards or healing myself. And there are a variety of different things that you can do. That's the sort of poker style game where you're trying to match suits and pairs together in order to help your posse. Before the day ends, and before we get to night, before the day ends, you take damage from any of the fires that are going on up here. And then after that, then there's the night phase. In night phase, you flip all these over, and you use your travel card, and you move your travel card from left to right through each of these, following the directions, and then when you're done, you usually discard the card unless it says something like place this card on the sea, on the church. So that card goes up there. The church is blocked. I can't do anything about the church. On this one here, the last one says you may add the top card from the discard pile to your hand. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the discard pile, so I wouldn't be able to add that to my hand, but then that would get discarded. You just keep going over. The top line here says lose 2 of those zappy things. That's your sanity, so you'd lose 2 of those. The next one says X from your hand, lose a card from your hand. There are none in my hand yet. The next one is you may add the top card from the discard pile to your hand. Hey, here's the top card, the only card in the discard pile. I would put that in my hand. And I would just keep doing that all the way through the night. Now, let's see. Once you finish all the events in the night, you retire your posse using your travel card. You retire your posse to any of these places that you want to go to. So, like for instance, I might want to go to the Assayer because I can draw a card from the top of the draw deck, and that gives me this card right here, which is a Tentacle Behemoth, which is good. I don't really want to deal with that. That's a really powerful card, and so I don't want to deal with it, so I have it here in my hand instead. But that was random. It's also a 10, and a 10 is a very high card, and one of the options is to use cards that add up to 21 or higher to move dust from your corruption back into your dust area. You don't necessarily do that often, but it's an option that's open for you. After you retire to the building, you get some shut-eye, then begins the next turn Reckoning, and you just keep doing those turns over and over. You're always welcome here in Reckoning. In fact, the town never wants you to leave. But you are going to leave, or you're going to lose. And the way to leave is to find that wagon. That wagon then gets sent to the warehouse. You have to make sure that the warehouse is clear of tentacles and fire so the wagon can leave. And you also have to get a 4 of a kind in your hand. When you do that, you win the game. But it's not as easy as it sounds. I hope you guys get a chance to try this out, but either way, thank you for watching the video. I'm new at this whole video thing, so I hope this was not too painful, and I hope that it told you a little bit about the game Welcome to Reckoning.